Yeah.
Then I said,
Oh, no, all fun, right till she got her Easter day done. She loved it and we started to read.
we used to.
Great when the kids were just big talking.
Welcome everyone to the April 7th council meeting. Prior to the open session, there was a closed meeting, was moved by Councillor McCann, second by Councillor Borneman, pursuant to section 239(2) and 3 of the Municipal Act SO 2001. C25 is amended. Council of the Corporation of the Town of Parry moved to a special meeting closed to the public in order to address matters pertaining to B, a personnel matter about an identified individual, including municipal or local board employees, nominee for an award. E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. AEGC litigation. F, advice that's subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. AEGC litigation. And K, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instructions to be carried on to any negotiations carried on or carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. Negotiations through the provincial land development facilitator. That meeting was held. This meeting is live streamed and recorded and available on the internet by visiting the Town of Parrystown website at www.parrystown.ca. And at this time, I'd like to acknowledge that we're on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people under the Robinson-Huron Treaty of 1850 and the waterways traveled by the Métis of this region. Yeah. May I have a mover and seconder for the agenda? Councilor Valesky and Councilor Ashford. That the council agenda for April 4th, 2026 be approved. Is there any additions or amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, be approved as circulated then. All in favor? That's carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest of the general nature thereof? Seeing none, mover and seconder for the minutes. Councillor Keith and Councillor McCann. The minutes of the regular council meeting held on March 17th, 2026, and special meeting March 31st, 2026 be approved as circulated. Any discussion or comments on any of those meetings? All in favor? And that's carried. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to take a few minutes to hold a public meeting to hear any interested persons with regard to a proposed zoning amendment under section 34 of the Planning Act. I need a mover and seconder. Councilor McCann, Councilor Borneman. We do now during the regular meeting and declare the public meeting open. All in favor? And that's carried. Ms. Johnson, could you explain how the public was notified of application Z2603 for 17 Joseph Street, Wallace?
Yes, Mayor, regarding notice was given by prepaid first-class mail to the required prescribed agencies and property owners within 120 meters. And as a notice was posted on the property, also in accordance with the Ontario Planning Act. Notice is therefore considered to be provided in accordance with the Planning Act.
Here, Mr. Rand, could you explain the purpose of the proposed application?
Thank you, Worship. Absolutely. The subject lands are located at 17 Joseph Street. The property is approximately 930 square meters in area, 20 meters of frontage on Joseph Street. And the lands are currently developed with a single family dwelling and are fully serviced. Surrounding land uses include an abutting automotive repair shop to the north, the dwelling to the south and east, and across the road from the subject lands. It's a mixture of commercial, service commercial in Parrystown High School. There's a proposed commercial plaza and apartment dwelling across the road as well. The application was submitted in order to permit limited commercial uses on the subject property. And the applicant is seeking a zoning amendment, which would add additional site-specific uses to the residential second density. So, The lands are currently located within the highway service commercial of the town official. Thank you.
In accordance with the Planning Act, council will consider all matters placed before it prior to granting a zoning amendment. If a public body who files an appeal of a decision of the council of the Corporation of Town of Parry Sound in respect of a proposed zoning amendment does not make a written submission to the council before it provides or refuses to provide a decision, the Ontario Land Tribunal may dismiss the appeal. And at this time, does anyone wish to speak in favor of the proposed application for the zoning amendment? You can if you want.
I've never been to one of these before, I don't know.
It's up to you if you want to say anything about what you're doing. Or not, you don't have to if you don't want.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, really, I was just.
Oh, if you want to, then come up and Jeremy will, yes. I'll go out there. Yes,
It's Margaret Wolf.
yeah,
My home address is on Rankin Lake Road, but this is pertaining to 17 Joseph Street, San Francisco. Really, we wanted to open up the opportunity for other businesses in the area, given it is a very mixed region, without evicting existing tenants. I felt it's very important. And with the new development across the street, the high school, we thought it would be a really good opportunity for a business potentially moving in there as I am retiring.
all right. Okay. Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of the proposed applications? Okay, at this time, I also have to ask, does anyone wish to speak in opposition to this proposed application for a zoning amendment? I'll ask one more time. Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to this proposed application for a zoning amendment? In opposition? Nope, okay. Thank you, Mr. Rand. Have there been any letters received as a result of this notice?
Comments have been received by the building department, which indicate that the existing building is residential. However, the site plan submitted indicates that there may be a second dwelling unit on the subject lands. However, there is no indication within our files that such a dwelling unit exists. Subsequent building permits may be required to recommend a unit. And if it does exist, then no other concerns were noted and no other agency or internal comments were received on the application. And I would note that staff have prepared a report recommendation to be heard later on in the council. Tonight. Thank you.
Okay, very good, thank you. So that is it for that part of the public meeting. We do have a second part, and Ms. Johnson, could you explain how the public was notified about this? Yeah, 2604 for 15 Parry Sound Drive, Dean and Colleen Harris.
Thank you. Again, notice was given by prepaid first-class mail to the required prescribed agencies and property owners within 120 meters. And a notice was posted on the property in accordance with the Ontario Planning Act. Notice is therefore considered to be provided in accordance with the Planning Act.
Mr. Rand, could you explain the purpose of the proposed application?
Thank you, Worship. The subject lands are located at 15 Parry Sound Drive. The property is approximately 7.3 hectares in area. With significant frontage on Parry Sound Drive. Harris Lane runs through a portion of the property as well. And the lands contain a two-story frame dwelling along with a variety of buildings and outdoor storage areas. And the lands themselves contain a low area with open fields and meadow which drain to Darlington Lake. Surrounding land uses include the commercial, institutional, and residential uses. The application was submitted in order to allow for commercial uses on the property. Specifically, the proposal would allow for an interim dock sales use to continue and provide as well for additional uses in the future to be located on the subject lands. Staff would note that when the bylaw comes back for council's consideration at a later date, there will likely be additional requests for relief for certain site-specific regulations, including front yard setback for that existing retail building. The subject lands are located within the highway service commercial area of the town's official plan, and the lands are serviced via Parry municipal water and private sewage disposal services.
Okay, thank you. In accordance with the Planning Act, Council will consider all matters placed before it prior to granting a zoning amendment to the public body who files an appeal. The decision of the Council of the Corporation of Town of Parry Sound in respect of a proposed zoning amendment does not make written submissions to the Council before it provides or refuses to provide a decision. The Ontario Land Tribunal may dismiss the appeal. So at this time, does anyone wish to speak in favor of this proposed application for a zoning amendment? And if so, please come forward, state your name and address. Mr. Jackson, welcome.
Thank you, your worship, members of council.
There we go.
We're on, sorry. Thank you very much. I'm John Jackson. I think most of you know that I've been here before. I was actually retained by the landowner to assist with his proposed rezoning of these lands. As Jeremy has indicated, it's kind of a twofold purpose. One is to recognize a small business, seasonal business that was on the property that apparently wasn't correctly zoned for that use. So he's regularizing that for a person in that neighborhood. I was kind of surprised it wasn't zoned commercial. It feels commercial when I go by it several times a day. And the second purpose is to recognize what I think is a new resilience in the north. October 2002, almost a quarter of a century ago, the highway was realigned and opened up to the unfortunate adverse impact of creating a north and south hub for commercial activity down to the north end being devastated. I think very positive to see the resilience now and the comeback of the north, and this I think is anticipated by the owner that there will be an interest in expanding additional commercial activities in that area, which is certainly all good for the economy. As a planning consultant, I went through the typical exercise of examining the instruments, the official plan, the zoning bylaw, and the conditions. There is, as Jeremy says, a little over 7.3 hectares, roughly 20 acres, and about half of it is going to be rezoned to a commercial use to prepare for the expansion of additional commercial uses in the area, in addition to regularizing the seasonal docking business that was there historically. So I think that, in my opinion, this is a positive zoning change for the property, and I believe that it can be supported quite readily.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, does anyone else wish to speak in favor of proposed application for a zoning amendment? No. Okay. At this time, does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the proposed application for the zoning amendment? I will ask once more. Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the proposed application for a zoning amendment? Nope. Okay, Mr. Rand, have there been any letters received as a result of the notice?
Comments were received by the town's building department, which indicate that the application appears to only include a part of the existing sales structure, which is located on the site plan. Therefore, additional information on the GFA calculation may need to be provided. As well, the front yard setback of the sales structure will need to be recognized, as Mr. Jackson noted, as it appears not to meet the 6-meter setback requirement of the zoning bylaw. It was also noted that a more detailed site plan will be required during the site plan stage of development, which should include all buildings and structures on the property. And to that point, I would note that the applicant has submitted a site plan agreements as well, which is being reviewed concurrently.
Okay.
Comments were also received by the Public Works Operations Department, Parks and Recreation Department, Fire Chief and Fire Prevention Officer, all indicated no concerns, and no other comments were received on the application. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you. We have a mover and second to adjourn the public meeting. Councillor Ashford, Councillor Keith. All in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you. Okay. Questions of staff? Councillor Keith.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a question for Mr. Cairns. It's come to my attention again from a couple of concerned citizens in the area in respect to Isabel, the intersection of Isabella and Gibson. Because the high school, not only in the morning, but of course, after school is over, those students that are walking, they seem to, even though we have a four-way stop there, that was to make it a safer situation in our community. They tend to like to diagonally across very often, rather than going from straight across from one corner to another. And I'm wondering if you can possibly this year paint some white lines on both the north side and the south side, east and west, the whole square, even though we don't have a sidewalk right now, it still would be helpful to those youth who evidently need to have lines so that they will maybe be more likely to cross the street. And I'm wondering also if there's another proactive approach that you can suggest. I know we tried something last year. I've already asked the police if they could increase their enforcement and observation in that area, but I do think that we have to try to do a little bit better ourselves to kind of get our students trained at least before the end of the school year.
Just to support what Councillor Keith was saying, and I witnessed it again today, and it caused confusion for a lot of like the drivers that were pulled up to the stop signs or whatever, because all of a sudden you had students walking diagonally across the road, and of course, all of a sudden, everybody stops, can't move, and the kids are just wandering right into the middle of the intersection. So we need to do something.
So through your worship, we can certainly add the lines. That's a low cost attempt. I would suggest too that we will reach out to the administration at the school and ask them to reiterate how to cross the street safely. I hope that the lines will have an impact. But I think it's going to have to probably involve several attempts in different methods to try and get the message through so that there's not an altercation between the pedestrian and the car. I've also witnessed it as well, and it was valued. We'll do our best. The lines are, like I said, a simple thing for us to accomplish, but we'll also reach out to the administration as well.
And I would also just suggest again that enforcement, frankly, some people being ticketed or jaywalking needs to happen, because really, if the choice is ticketing or to end up with a serious fatality in that corner, I'm sure we're all gonna say, what more could we have done? So thank you.
Councillor McDonald first.
Thank you, Worship. This is for Mr. Cairns as well. So the town posted today about the Champagne Street boat launch being closed for another season. There's been some questions in the public if it'd be possible to put the extension back at the Town Dock Beach boat launch to allow more boats to be able to dock while they're waiting to pull their vessels out. So just wondering if if we still have that ability or if that would even be a possibility.
Through your worship, that may involve procuring a new section of dock. The docks have been replaced recently. And that would be an additional expenditure that we hadn't planned on for this year in terms of capital. It's certainly something we can take a look at. And I know some folks are, not pleased with the ramps and the way in which, you enter and exit the dock, but it is a difficult thing because of the fluctuating water levels. We try and, end up with the best possible solution for all eventualities, and the water we know has a cyclical nature. It rises and falls, and we're getting down to a low point. So sometimes those ramps seem a little steeper, but that water will come back. The history will repeat itself. I'm pretty sure that we see those cycles on a regular basis. When the water comes back up, those ramps flatten out. So I'm just mentioning that so that folks understand why they are the way they are.
Thank you. Councillor Borneman next.
Mr. Cairns, I'm gonna back up to the intersection at Gibson and Isabella. Question is, are crossing guards effective in other locations, and is that an option there?
Through your worship, so I mean, I would suggest that crossing guards are effective in other locations. I'm just not sure how practical it is at that location to deploy. And I might just anecdotally suggest that they're more effective with a younger crowd. So perhaps, you know, folks listening to this will take the opportunity to speak to all their school age children from JK to grade 12. And encourage them to follow traffic laws and cross at proper intersections in a safe manner, but that would be my thoughts on the crossing guards. Chief Thompson, yeah. So.
Through Mr. Mayor, I think that's very accurate in terms of the age of the individuals crossing at that intersection. Now, we may have a different hurdle in September, depending on whether the new school opens on time or not, because there's going to be a different demographic that's going to be attending that school. Our new bylaw officer, manager of bylaw, Zach Emerson, is here with us tonight, and I've already discussed this, that it may be something that we're going to have to deal with. However, to deal with the issue which was brought up tonight, the age of the students is really part of the discussion that has to occur. So there may be a multi-pronged solution down the road, and I think that's the sort of thing we'll have to discuss.
Okay, if it's on this question, Councillor Keith, then fine, because Councillor McCann does have a question, so go ahead. Yeah.
I'll be quick, and that is in reference, it seems to me some years ago, by law at times did go to, not that end, before the intersection was right at Isabel and Church, but maybe that's a possibility that occasionally by law can go out at those school times just to kind of talk to the students in that, because I mean, they're adults and students of that age feel they're adults, so it might be just a means of education that could be helpful. I'm not saying on a regular basis, I'm saying intermittently, another thought that could be pursued.
Councillor McCann?
I think this is probably for Chief Thompson, a couple of comments and a question. And also for Mr. Kearns. I know every year at this time we begin to wonder when the lines will be painted, and I get it that you have to wait a certain time for the temperatures to be just right, and then for the service providers to be available. I certainly would like to caution motors around Church and Seguin Street to really focus on being in your lanes, because if you're making a left-hand turn onto Wabash Street, you really want to watch the oncoming traffic. It's really hard to know for traffic coming and going, whether or not they're in the right lane or not. So it'll be nice to get those back in. When speaking of that intersection, there was an accident in which a pole was, an ivory pole was hit. And that section was closed off, and I understand there was a closure to the Great North Road and Seaman and Bow Street as well. Was this all the same incident? And much thanks to everyone involved for, regulating and governing the traffic and getting things back up to Parry. I know it was quite a job that day.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there were two separate, this was on Thursday morning, of last week. And there were two separate incidents, contrary to what it said on social media. The fire truck did not hit a pole and knock it down on the way to a different emergency. Police were extremely helpful with regards to traffic control, both at Great North Road and at Church and Wabi. And Public Works was actively involved in the situation as well to ensure the safety of the public and making sure that two bad situations didn't become any worse situations.
Okay, thank you.
I happened to catch the video of that, one taking the pole over here. Mr. Harris sent it to me. Was that taken from a camera at the fire hall?
Through you, Ms. Mayor, yes, absolutely. We have cameras in the front of the fire hall to watch the intersection as well as the portion of the apron where the fire trucks come out and sit on the asphalt. The camera angle was absolutely perfect to clearly show the incident and identify what occurred, and the police were very happy. Mr. Kearns pulled that information off the cameras as we were dealing with the other incident and provided to the police, and it helped them successfully track down the individual involved, and then police did their work.
Yep. No, well done. Mr. Kearns.
Thank you, Your Worship. And just take the opportunity to add, we did, thankfully, it wasn't really a hydro pole. It was a town-owned pole for communications and for street lights and traffic lights. And on that note, we did notice folks traversing under the wires when they were down prior to the arrival of the police. And I would take this opportunity to remind people, never do that. That can be a deadly situation. We saw on the cameras, folks walking and driving underneath the wires. So I would highly discourage that. It is a dangerous activity, so I just wanted to add that.
Thanks.
No one was hurt in either of these incidents, I understand.
No, in either incident, I was obviously down at Great North Road and Mr. Kearns was dealing more with Church and Wabi, but no one was hurt in either incident.
Good. Any further questions? Okay, correspondence, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor McGarvey. We have 4 items of correspondence. First is from Chief Lloyd Naganosh of Magnettawan First Nation. At the last regular council meeting on March 17th, the town passed a resolution supporting Magnettawan First Nation's call upon the provincial government to come to the table with respect to a land claim, and supported their concerns about, with the expansion of Highway 69, the potential of additional First Nation, Magnettawan First Nation land being taken. So asking that the government deal with Magnettawan First Nation on these issues. The second item is from Georgian Animal Hospital. That is the 3rd veterinary clinic in Parry Sound, and the 3rd to respond to a letter that the town wrote to the 3 vet services in town with concerns. It was at the request of a deputation to the town wherein an animal needed after hours service, and they tried to take it to Barry and it died along the way. So the request was for after hours services by vets in town, and Georgian Animal Hospital also identifies that as did the other two vet services, that it's a complex process involving more than just a vet for after-hour services, and that they do have, people have access to the Huronia Veterinary Emergency Clinic, which operates 24 hours a day down in Barrie. The third item is from Dave Bartlett, a resident in Parry Sound, concerned that Tower Hill is a fire hazard with dead pines on Tower Hill, and asking if the town would deal with this situation by starting to remove the dead red pine. And the last item is a press release by the town of Parry Sound. It's entitled "Town of Parry Sound Launches Economic Development and Tourism Strategy." And it outlines that the town is working with McSweeney and Associates to develop an economic development and tourism strategy. There will be public feedback sought and stakeholder consultation, and that begins during the week of April 13th. And that's concludes the correspondence.
Thank you. So our first deputation tonight is Deborah Loosemore, CEO, regarding update of the West Parry Sound Health Center Foundation and 2026 Walk, Run, Pull community event. They online.
Also.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor, it appears that no one is in the audience from the health center.
okay, all right,
That was fast.
that was, that's right, I guess we'll. It'll be a long later, I guess. Next is Downtown Business Association 2025 wrap up and 2026 plans. And Ms. Denman is here, so.
Let me just make a comment, just in regards to correspondence while we're waiting, okay. Chief Naganosh's letter was very timely in the correspondence, because as we all know, there was another fatal accident on Highway 69 and just in the Brit area, 2 people killed. Not much more news than that, except that there was a transport truck and an SUV that collided. So again, you know, I hope that Queen's Park is listening and watching, and that we get moving on this highway.
That's
where it goes.
You know, Chief was very thankful that we sent that solution.
Yeah.
Great. Hey. Hello, thank
Hi.
you, sorry, thanks for your patience.
Hello, Mayor McCarthy and council staff, and the public. I'm April Denman. I'm the executive director for the Downtown Business Association, and I thought that I could come and give a little wrap up from our 2025 year and maybe a little information as to what we're gonna do for 2026. So, did you know that in 1977, on November the 15th, the town of Parry Sound passed a bylaw 77-2720, creating Parry Sound Downtown Business Improvement Area. Not sure where the name change came about. Maybe you can figure that one out, but these are the documents from the corporation of the town of Parry Sound. So the Ontario Municipal Act says that a local municipality may designate an area as an improvement area and may establish a board of management to oversee the improvement, beautification, and maintenance of municipally owned land, buildings, and structures in the area beyond that provided, and at the expense of the municipality generally, and to promote the area as a business or shopping area. And so that's what the DBA does. That's more for the public, obviously, who often thinks that we connect. So we work together as partners, but we're not the same entity. So we do help promote the town's facade improvement program. And in 2025, 6 downtown businesses were selected. So that makes good news for the facades in downtown. Of course, the program is for all of Parry Sound businesses, but it's always nice when the downtown ones get a little facelift. We launched, we increased our banner program, but the town of Parry Sound's Remembrance Day banners expanding. We had a lot more open pools, so we thought we should fill them, and we went from 54 to 125. These banners are local Parry Sound artists that donated these images to us. Brian Sopkovich, Jessica Vergeer, and Kyle Sorensen. These images are all Georgian Bay inspired, and we did choose Parry Sound and not downtown specifically because we know that marketing the town is a benefit to all and does bring people into the downtown. Anyway, the banners sort of outline the boundary. We just need to get them in. We also do many collaborations with other organizations for staff learning opportunities and for the greater good of the downtown business community. So I do attend the OBIA conference every year. This year it's in St. Catharines. I do visit other BIAs in our area and beyond if I can. Today I was in North Bay with that BIA and I toured their downtown so we can share some best practices, maybe learn from each other's mistakes. I worked with Explorers Edge. They have a Women in Tourism program amongst others. So this is just other ways to get exposure for downtown, but also for Parry Sounds like, hey, remember us, we're over here. I work with the CBDC on many projects, especially Small Business Week, and with Chris at the Chamber for many of their advocacy events. We had some great beautification project collaborations this year, some proactive and some not so proactive, but between Mr. Kern's team and myself, we managed to fix some of the little issues that pop up. And then we had Maple Fest. Maple Fest is a great shoulder season event that kind of brings the community out of hibernation and into downtown. But a lot of our events also are a benefit to other organizations. This here is the Stocking Center in the one corner here. We held our evening concert at the Stocking Center, and we actually had to add a few tables of 8 to accommodate the extra people that came. So that Maple Fest did benefit the Stocking Center. The one below there is the pancake breakfast. at Maple Fest. So this was a not-for-profit organization that was able to do some fundraising because of the event that we put together. The other ones are just for fun. We create experience in downtown, and we're really trying to create experiences that like constantly live in downtown, are not always huge events or stuff that staff, myself, have to do something with on a regular basis. So we created the rain walk through downtown in 2025. So there's 26 locations that run through our Driftscape app. And these are stenciled cheeky little messages with images that when it rains, this product is non-toxic, it's non-slippery, there's nothing to it, but when it rains, it actually repels the water, so the sidewalk gets wet, and that message then kind of pops. So this lives, not really sure how it's gonna fare out over the winter with salt and stuff, so we may need to redo them, but this is our first year, so it's a little experiment, but we're 26. The great thing with Driftscape is we get some data given to us from this app. So I can tell you how many people did it, which locations they went to. So those are really valuable to us. We also have on the spot, this one's been around for quite a while, but we do find that some of the cruise ship passengers already have this app and they use it kind of all around the world. So in downtown, there's 4 historic walking tours with over 60 points of interest within them. We helped the Canada 911 celebrate the 25th anniversary ride and brought 250 bikes into downtown. The great thing with this, so it was last minute and we threw this together, the chamber and I. The great thing about this is this showcased Parry Sound. There were a ton of these riders who want to come back here, and when we get enough accommodations, they'd really like to start this ride in Parry Sound and make their way south. So we would have all of these people staying in town for a night or two, and then they make their way out. So that would be a huge impact for us. So we do hop on these last minute things in hopes that there is some kind of benefit eventually run on. The town dock, of course, got some really. There's free boat parking with the new Shoppers dock, and like transient water access right off the town dock. So those are really great improvements to bring people in. We have free parking downtown, so we might as well have free water parking. We did bring in a number of cruise ships, of course. We had a lot of those folks touring through downtown. We saw lots of them walking and supporting the businesses. We put 10 new planters on the town dock. I think they look great. They kind of break up that little runway a little bit. We planted them up for spring and summer, and then we also did fall. We changed them out for the fall. So we'll do that again next year, I guess this year. And then we had summer in the Sound. So there's always so much happening in Parry Sound for the summer. There's Tuesday Market. So this is the weekly market that happens. It is downtown. So we're happy to promote these other organizations that are hosting events downtown, like the car show. The fire department is always really keen to help out with the water slide. That's always a lot of fun. We partnered with the town for Canada Day. And in doing that, we had to kind of wiggle around some funds for our event 2 weeks later. So we decided to create a themed event in hopes that the community could bring some of the entertainment to our street. So we themed this one the Hawaiian Luau, and so many people were walking around dressed up. We randomly handed out downtown dollars and said, thanks for participating. We even had a counselor come all dressed up, so that was really fun. Witches Walk is actually a grassroots event from 3 local ladies that started this event. DBA hopped on board to try to help with some of the logistics and safety so that these gals can just create a super fun event. But again, like a lot of the other things that we do, it does have spin-off effects. So this is my trailer here, the bottom picture in the middle, with two of the three ladies. This is one of many trips to Harvest Share. So there's a few different businesses, the kind of the week before Witches Walk, that gather for Harvest Share. And then I go around after, the day of and after, and pick this up and then deliver it to Harvest Share for them. We have Girlfriends Weekend. 2027 will be year 10. In 2025, we did a tacky prom theme, and it was a riot. There were a ton of ladies that came out dressed up, and the the big hair and all of that came out. This event is specifically in the shoulder season as well, to try to deter some of the Black Friday dollars from going to Amazon and hopefully keep it in downtown businesses instead. The holiday season downtown, Market Square Park, the town and staff do a wonderful job creating this beautiful light installation throughout Market Square Park. For the parade, we have a downtown business owner and her family. They pop up our DBA tent and sell hot chocolate by donation or for a couple of bucks. And they immediately take the funds down to the bargain shop where they have their toy drive. So that's a little, probably not a very well-known thing that happens during the parade on the side. Of course, we decorate the living room gardens here and the street poles. This top picture is actually a picture of one side of our storage unit that's jammed. I'm standing at the door. It is floor to ceiling, top to bottom, full. And other businesses also participate for Christmas. So they decorate their windows and businesses. And this one here is a little photo op in the corner that's available for anybody. So what's next? 2026, our most important projects are going to be trees. We know that that's in the town's waterfront plan as well, the new waterfront plan to have some trees down Bay Street waterfront. So we're hoping to work with town staff for the Bay Street area, town dock area, and there's a number of trees. Actually, most of the trees on James Street were damaged in some form or another from the winter and snow removal. So there's some maintenance, the couple of them that are doing really well. They really do need some maintenance, some trimming and whatnot, but a lot of them also need some little TLC. We're hoping to do the Trestle Link Parkette, but I believe McIsaac Way is on the list to get some love this year. So we'll coordinate with town staff for that project. And parking is different issues at different parts of downtown. James Street has its own parking quos, I suppose. The south end especially, there's no parking. There's no on-street parking. So the south end of downtown is like Dent Bay and Oars, Legend. So each and Bay Street as well does not actually have a lot of public parking. There's quite a bit of private parking, but public parking is definitely at a premium. So we're hoping that we can find some parking solutions at multiple areas in downtown. And this year you'll find us showing off all of those things and maintaining our newest investments and initiatives while working behind the scenes to plan our 50th anniversary that the municipality created the BIA in 2027. So of course that's going to take some time and it's going to take some money. So this year we are working with a fundraising strategist to find sustainable ways to move the organization forward. Increasing taxes is, to keep up with inflation is definitely something that is a necessity. I think we all kind of know that, but it can't be the only way. We have a really great board and volunteer committee members and business owners that contribute a significant amount of time, energy, and experience all throughout the year. They're planning and delivering events, supporting community initiatives that benefit Parry Sound as a whole. I just said like Harvest Share, not-for-profit organizations, even Stocky Center. So as we build towards a sustainable future, ongoing municipal support, both in principle and in funding, will help ensure that this work can continue at the level that our community expects and deserves. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Oh, okay. Sorry, Chris. You're kind of
Yeah,
deaf.
no, it's all right. I'm hiding in the shadows here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not a real question, just a comment. And I know firsthand, working with April and the DBA board and their volunteers and their committees, how hard they work. It's a small but mighty group. So I just want to commend them on doing a fantastic job. The revitalization of the downtown, the beautification program, expanding down to the town dock and all the work and all the events that they put on a pretty tight budget, and the work that Ms. Denman does, it's very much appreciated, and I hope it's often unseen by a lot of the public, but I know working behind the scenes with them, how much work they put into it and how much work April does. So thank you, April, for all the work that you've done, and yeah, we look forward to tackling some of the issues with parking and everything else that's coming up. So it should be great year ahead.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Keith.
Yes, thank you. Ms. Denman, I'm just wondering, over the years, it seems to me in the past, there would be many projects that the DBA was involved in. And is there now a change in strategy? So you're trying to do a little less projects or events and maybe bringing in more people, but given there's a limited number of volunteers and businesses, are you looking at changing that strategy to maybe make it more efficient?
For you, Mr. Mayor, we did have a public meeting. So that last picture, that was my last slide. That was our board and a bunch of community members that came together. We hosted them at Out With Wine to try to start gathering some information as to what's important to the community. Events does come up, and there's a huge swing in benefits, like what the businesses see as a benefit for having an event versus the amount of money that it actually costs to put an event on. I mean, the second you close the street, you must provide porta potties, and that's like $1,500. So already there, like that's a lot of money in our organization. But I can tell you that it's tens of thousands of dollars to put on the events that happen. There's a lot of talk about creating more experiences like the Driftscape experiences that can happen all the time. I mean, the events are great. The street events are wonderful, and we're so lucky that we've had really great weather. But I do wonder, and my board wonders, if the businesses and the community would really see the value and how much money these things cost if the weather was terrible. And if it wasn't a good turnout, you don't get that back. You can't you can't really do that with a street event. It's kind of like, this is the day that everybody's here and can be here, or you're out. So I think we're looking at a bigger picture way on how we can move the organization into the next 50 years. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Well, I'm going to say thank you to all the work that you do, because I know you put a lot of effort into it, and people should be very proud of the work that you do, and the businesses for them, and the volunteers and your board, that sort of thing. But also to your husband, who certainly does an awful lot, some tech crew and
The 2-for-1.
that 2-for-1. There you go. Anyway,
Well,
thank you for
Thank
the
you.
work that everybody's doing and it is noticed. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Our next deputation is Jamie Thompson regarding the Nature Foundation. Welcome.
Thank you so much, everybody, for having us tonight. And I did go ahead and bring a timer up because Jamie and I can be talkers. So I'll go ahead and start that now. My name is Emily Samuel, and I'm a system principal within your North District School Board. And so I have the privilege of supporting all of our schools across the district in a number of areas. One of those areas is safe schools. Another one is early years. And of course, along with that goes healthy schools as well. And I'm here with Jamie Thompson tonight, who is the Director of Development at the Renature Foundation. And I'm also joined by Shannon Mahan, the principal of Parry Sound Public, and Jay McJanet, the NNDSB director. So as many of you would know, research is telling us that kids are spending more time on screens. And for any of you who are parents or grandparents, aunties or uncles, you'll know that that's true. And unfortunately, what we also know is that time spent on screens is having a negative impact, not only on kids and their social skills development, but also on their physical development. We see as students age that there's increases in mental health concerns related to anxiety and depression as well. And that has to do with screen time as well as social media. Here's the good news. We'll go ahead and click. And just so you know, because I'm a proud principal, all these photos are taken right from our own programs. There's no stock photos here. These are our kids. But the good news tells us that, research shows us, I should say, that time spent outside can have a counter effect on those negative things that technology brings about. And so what we've been doing across the Near North District School Board is really bringing to the forefront outdoor education, the opportunity it brings for exploration, and the opportunity really where it connects with the curriculum. And as you'll see on this slide, what we know is that impactful and engaging education often comes through those experiential opportunities. And you can probably think of times yourself where, listening to somebody in a classroom versus being out there and doing it for yourself, it's a world of difference. One of the things through my early years portfolio that we've really been focusing on is supporting teachers, and that includes our ECE, our early childhood educators, in developing the skills to bring that curriculum outside in a really meaningful way. So when our students are outside for outdoor learning, it's not just free play. It's not a free-for-all despite what it may look. There's very intentional learning practices that are happening, very intentional planning and scaffolding that's happening. And again, that's all related right directly with the Ontario curriculum. Some of the things we've done to support that is we've developed pathways for forest school practitioner certification. So many of our educators in the kindergarten sphere have that certification now. And of course, we value local partnerships like our partnership with the Canadian Ecology Centre, as well as Get Outdoors Parry Sound. Our older students in grades 7 and 8 in this area benefit from a bike trailer. You may have seen that, a bike trailer that moves across the schools, and students learn the skills needed to have traffic, right? To know how to be safe in traffic and how to obey the rules of the road while also enjoying their time outside. And that time actually ends at the Georgia Nordic in June, where they're able to enjoy spending time on those trails. So really it's, you know, I come at this from a kindergarten's perspective, but really we have this right through to grade 12 because we know it's so good for kids, especially today, right? Outdoor time was important when I was a kid, and it's so much more important today because unfortunately a lot of our students just aren't getting it. And so we have the opportunity to partner with Renature, really, you know, to improve the outdoor spaces that we do have. And again, I know I feel like I'm preaching to the choir already because you already live in a place where you value that. That's why you chose to live here. You choose to live in places where you can get outside in all 4 seasons. And Renature is a not-for-profit organization that supports schools across Canada in creating the landscapes that we need in schoolyards to allow us to do these things. So I'll turn it over to Jamie to talk a little bit more about what Renature is.
Thanks very much. Yes, Renature is a not-for-profit Canadian foundation founded by my close friend Adam Bienenstock, who has been creating outdoor playground equipment and spaces for 30 years, 4,500 of them in the States and another 500 in Canada. And over that experimentation, we've learned what works, what actually gets kids to use space in a non-prescriptive way, to get them out into the outdoors and benefit from all of that nature can give them. One of the things Adam always says to me is, what's the opposite of screen time? It's not less screen time, it's engagement with the outdoors and with nature. And so we take that to heart. So Adam founded the foundation a couple of years ago. We've had a couple of conferences already, and we are now embarking on our second cohort, which will be here with Near North and in the area as well with the Nipissing Parry Sound Catholic Board as well. We'll be doing a total of 25 schools, and this comes after doing a set of 39 schools that are currently in progress in Renfrew County, both with the public and Catholic boards. And that's been an amazing experience. This is not my first council meeting, I'll tell you. And the reason is, and maybe the Downtown Business Association may benefit from this, we work with the FCM, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, who has this incredible program. They will match tree planting spending. And we need trees for our playgrounds. And the great thing is that rather than just dole out the money to the big cities, what they've done is they've taken the money they've gotten from Environment Climate Change Canada and Natural Resources Canada, and they have split it up to a cap of 10 million per municipality. Now it's a matching program. And as we all know, smaller municipalities do not tend to spend that much money on trees, although maybe you will be next year, who knows? But what the FCM has allowed is for people like us, nonprofits, to get out there and apply for the money. And because we are building outdoor learning spaces, not playgrounds, but outdoor learning spaces, and surrounding them with trees, it allows us to take a big piece of the cost and simply put it to the FCM, and they are overjoyed to do it. So as part of that process, we need to come to each municipal council where we are planting and ask for a resolution of support. I know you've probably already seen my letter and things. We need a resolution of support indicating that the council supports what we're going to do with the school board. And that's basically it. That's why I'm here. Thank you.
The next slide. One of the things that Jamie just emphasized, which I think is a really important point, is the difference between a playground and a learning space. This is a sample design that Renature would provide in a space like this, about 7,500 by 7,500, about 50 trees in there. And as you can see at the center, there'd be opportunity for large group instruction, you know, a blackboard, natural benches, and then in the various corners, you know, breakout spaces, students, lots of room for them to explore, have those experiential learning opportunities. But again, also, as I mentioned, those really intentional learning and scaffolded lessons that teachers are designing to be in this space. One of the things that Renature also provides to the school boards they work with is a 2-year mentorship program, not only for our teachers and our support staff, but also for our custodians, our maintenance crews, right? Because there's going to have to be a bit of a change in how we're taking care of these spaces. And the other thing you see there, some of the pathways, it's all wheelchair accessible as well. And this would be a great example when we think about, for those of you who are familiar with the space, something like, Parry Sound Public, the kindergarten yard, which, Principal Mahan will joke is either a desert or an ocean. And so depending on the season, with trees like this, a setup like this, really we're working with the infrastructure that already exists, and really taking that, adding to it so that you don't have drainage issues. You have lots of shade. I know it's getting hotter and hotter. The seasons are changing. So it would allow the students to actually be outside more often. So I think we can go to the next one too. So as Jamie mentioned, really, we really want to emphasize there's no cost to the municipality. It's very rare, that we come and we don't ask you for money, and we're not asking for money tonight. We're just asking that you'd support a resolution so that we can go ahead and apply for the Growing Canada's Community Canopies grant, that matching grant that Jamie spoke about. So for us, for our next steps then, if we were to get a resolution of support from you this evening, that would allow us to really begin the exploration phase. This is phase 1. Something like this isn't taken lightly. It's sort of the first step that will allow Jamie to go back and create a planting plan that he will then bring forward to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities for that approval. And then if that work goes well, then we would look at some planting in spring, summer of 2027. So this is really the first step. And of course, it makes sense because it's your backyard that we're talking about. So we want to have that community support before we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, a couple of questions right off the hop. Can we do it at our next council meeting? Okay, all right, that's good. Second one is, are you going to other municipalities within our area as well?
Yes, we are. So as Jamie had mentioned, this opportunity is not just for the Near North District School Board. It's open for all school boards across Ontario, Canada, in fact. So Nipissing Parry Sound Catholic, for example, has also partnered with Renature to bring this same opportunity to their schools. And so there might be crossover there. And then again, we've identified sites throughout our district, really looking again at places that we want to bring that outdoor learning opportunity that doesn't exist already. Some sites, as you can imagine, would already have I will say yards and school-owned property that we could sort of retrofit to have the same opportunity, whereas others don't. And so the ones that do not, and we're sort of starting from scratch, is where we really need this funding support.
Yeah, my last question is how does the forest at Parry Sound Public School fit with this right now?
That's a great question. So if you can imagine Parry Sound Public as it is right now in the parking lot, there's a forest area right beside the parking lot that is owned by the town, right? And used by the students, and they quite enjoy that. On the opposite side of that parcel of land, or opposite side of that school, there's a smaller piece of outdoor learning space that is really very well utilized, both those spaces. In fact, again, the educators, particularly in the west region of our board, really embrace outdoor learning. I always go by and you've got the students who are dressed in the one-piece suits. They're ready to go out and no matter the weather and play in the mud and snow and slush and everything else we get on any single day. And so those educators are really keen to use it, and as Principal Mahan shared with me earlier, she's actually got a sign up sheet so that the classes can sign up to get out there, because otherwise it would look like downtown Toronto. That the students want to get out there, they want to be in those spaces, they feel better. They come into school also more ready, right? Because they've had that opportunity to be outside. And so this expansion really would just further benefit what it already is in existence, because that's a great example of what is already there. And working with Jamie and his team and our facilities team, we would really look at what is already there, we want to work with what we've got and augment it.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions from council? Councillor Keith?
Yes, I have a comment, thank you, and a question. Although I realize this is referring to trees, at the beginning of the presentation, it was explained how learning outside, is something really basically that carries over throughout life. You can use that, and I see that as a healthy way of promoting good health throughout throughout your life itself. But it just seems to me something that, again, is really so simple, but kids don't do it now, even though we're talking trees. Something as simple as you can look on a computer and you can see how to make a mud pie. But until you have made a mud pie, do you realize what is really involved in making that mud pie? It teaches you about math. You can use it for cooking once you understand about the consistency. You can use it for understanding how to make mortar. So there's a lot of learning experiences in something just as simple as that. But what I'm also wondering about, as I had spoken to Jamie before the meeting had started regarding the trees over at the public school there and what forest we have there. But what I am wondering about is when I see these pictures of trees, is there a height involved that you're looking at for trees? Because we don't necessarily want them growing, like BC firs.
Maybe I'll let Jamie take that one.
Certainly. Yeah, so for each school, we look at what is the natural forest around the area. And we'll look at what species are doing well. And we'll also look a little further south and look at how the forest is changing over the last 50 years. And then we plan for the next 50 years. So we're being very careful that we're planting native species, local species, but picking and choosing those that will do well in the space. Now, of the 50 trees, a good third of them are large caliber trees. This is a forest that goes up overnight to a certain extent. We build it very quickly. It's not a 3-year process. This goes in a matter of weeks. And we will put in a mix of species such as multi-stem trees like serviceberry. We'll put in some birch. We'll put in some of the more larger species that will become a climax species of a natural forest. On top of that, we put in, we call them amendments for the soil so that those trees can grow to a reasonable and natural size. And over time, this forest will change. So some of those trees will do well. We will be returning for several years after the planting to look at how they're doing and figure out what needs to be done next to make sure that those trees are healthy. And as well, we train the facilities people as well, so they know what to do, which is really important as well.
Excuse me, my follow-up question to that, and I'm wondering if this has been asked before. It seems to me it's two-part. Seems to me when you have trees, and I know times have changed, but I see it, like, for example, with the forest school, where it's been mentioned about young people need to learn a certain amount of risk reward. And so when I think of trees, I still think of climbing. And does that come into the picture at all? Because I know also you look at liability insurance, but if you don't learn about risk, you don't learn about consequences. Is that part of that learning process, or did I miss something there? Thank you.
No, it absolutely is. Thank you so much for the question. We're very proud of our guideline, and you can find that on our website under administrative guidelines. It's our outdoor learning elementary administrative guideline. I know that's a bit of a mouthful, but it's exactly that. We wanted to build a policy and a procedure that supports this learning, and we recognize that elements of risky play are a part of it. We want students to develop the ability to take safe risks, to assess risk, dynamically, as well as, preventatively. So that's a huge part of the learning that happens. So thank you for flagging that. We worked really closely with OFIA, the Ontario Physical Education Association, on that guideline, as well as OSB, which is the Ontario Student Board Insurance Board. They provided a review of that as well, because like you said, we wanted to make sure that it was going to meet the needs of all stakeholders, but the number one stakeholder is what the kids needed. And when you talk about that progression of skills, we see it absolutely now with the students that we're receiving for kindergarten. They're not coming with the same skills. gross motor and fine motor are lacking. Even some oral communication is lacking because they're spending so much time on screens. So it's really a good time. There's some urgency, I would say, even in bringing this to the forefront of our curriculum, because we want students who are going to be able to get outside, not only have the dexterity and the fine and gross motor skills, but like you said, the confidence to get up there and think, I can climb that tree. Well, director, not too high. Don't worry, it's not too high, but in a safe, within safe parameters. That's what we want. Thank you.
Counselor Ashford?
So it is my first year actually teaching kindergarten, and it's changed my teaching, as you can imagine, in my life in surprising ways. Just to put you on the spot a little, I know I drive by the public school sometimes, and I see the kinder yard there. Would you say that this program is certainly going to have something in it to help improve that kinder yard there at PSPS?
Yes, thanks. That was that was what drew me to the project. So as I mentioned, one of my portfolios is early years. So I support our childcare operators as well as our kindergarten programs, teachers and ECEs, and that was a huge draw. Just for the reasons I mentioned, we really need to support students in the acquisition of these skills, not only the physical skills that I spoke about, but some of the social emotional skills, their own self-awareness as well as conflict resolution, critical thinking, problem solving. All of that happens during experiential learning. And we know that the best form of experiential learning is outside. Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions? I have just one comment, and it's a hope because, you're looking at more risky play, that sort of thing in this, is that, and I'll leave this with the director and the others, is that hopefully the Near North Board will afford some playground equipment to go into the different schools so that there are more other activities for the students to play as well. So that the forest is going to be nice, but so that there is equipment for the students to play on as well, because they need those motor skills and that development as well. So I'm hoping that will happen along with this.
Thank you. And I think that's one of the reasons that we're so excited about the opportunity for this partnership, because as many of you probably know, equipment's not funded through the ministry. So, Principal Mahan and other principals work with their parent councils to fundraise that money. And in this case, when we heard there was an opportunity potentially for some matching, Renature supporting us through some private donation that their organization is finding, it was like a prayer answered. And so I know exactly the point, and we can take that back for sure. But that's what we're up against, is that lack of funding for those kinds of equipment and infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the deputation. Thank you very much for it. Yeah. It's good to see the director out here too. Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to start with reports, and we'll start with Councillor McDonald. He's online, so.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll be quick. March 30th, I had an online Zoom meeting. The West Prairie Sound Health Center did a town hall. I'll let Councillor Keith go into more in depth. She took quite a bit of notes on that, but it was quite informative and very encouraging, the updates we had from the West Prairie Sound Health Center team and the foundation there. So March 31st, I attended the special operating budget meeting as well for the town. And that is the end of my report.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Borneman.
I'll try to keep it as quick as Councillor McDonald did. I too attended the operating budget meeting on the 31st. For people in the public who pay attention to such things, on Tuesday, April 14th, Ontario Hydro is hosting a public meeting at the Legion between 4 and 7 with respect to a new transmission line between Parry and Sudbury. It may impact people in the area. And I want to thank Mr. Cairns and Mr. Bonanza and their crew. I think the work that Public Works did in clearing catch basins this spring has really helped a good many property owners with respect to runoff and floods that didn't happen. So good job, folks. Thank you for your effort. And that's my report.
Thank you. Councillor McCann.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and fellow councilors, staff and public. A few notes to pass along this evening. I want to begin by offering sincere condolences to the family of Tom Lundy on his untimely passing on March 23rd. He died in Barrie. Sympathies are extended to his friends, the people of the township of the archipelago, in which he served as councillor for Ward 1, and to the endless number of boards and committees in which he was a member. He was unstoppable, dedicating much of his life in serving community. He was also a dedicated Mason, a chartered member of Goodfellows Lodge number 748 in Parry Sound, Georgian North District. Tom was also a 32nd degree Scottish Rite Mason and a member of the Valley of Barrie for the past 25 years. He joined the Ramesses Shriners 23 years ago. And what many, I think, people don't realize in the area is that Tom was also heavily involved with hockey. He was a referee for 17 years with the Canadian Hockey Association at the highest levels of amateur hockey. And after serving as a referee, he held several leadership roles with the Ontario Hockey Association and the Ontario Hockey Federation. In 1998, he was elected to the Hockey Canada Board of Directors as chair of the Junior Council. He leaves behind a huge legacy of community service and dedication. He will be missed. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family. He was the chair of the library board, and that's how I got to know him pretty well, in addition to other things around town. More condolences this week. We seem to be losing a lot of community pillars. I'd like to take this opportunity to pass along my personal condolences to the family of Greg Hobson, who passed away on Saturday. He would have turned 70 this August. Greg was the former owner of the Strand Twin Theatre, and while he was seriously ill, this did come as a very sudden shock to family and friends. So our thoughts and prayers are with his wife Karen and their children, and to the extended McEwen and Hobson families. There is a memorial visitation and a celebration of his life at Logan's this Saturday morning, starting at 11. Some happy news, a note of congratulations going out to the Obdams. You know, running a family business can be rewarding in many ways, but it can also be tough. Running a family business for 50 years means its proprietors must know something about what they're doing. And so congratulations goes out to Obden's Flowers, having celebrated 50 years serving the people of this area. Owner-operator Jennifer Obden has been following in her parents' footsteps since she was a teenager. Her late parents, Peter and Mary Obden, I'm sure you'll remember them, opened the business March 26, 1976. They came from Holland, they met, and they were married 7 months later, and the rest was history. Also, I was in attendance to the 2026 operating budget meeting, which was held in chambers here just 1 week ago. And one more note is the Parry Sound Waterfront Advisory Committee meeting. We met on the 30th of March. Myself and Councillor Keith and some of our staff joined the members. For the most part, with the meeting, we looked and reviewed the waterfront master plan. We did have some discussion about what we thought would be a good idea to prioritize, and that's a list that we will be passing along to the authors of the plan. So all in all, that is that, and that is my report. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Bolesky.
Thank you, Your Worship. Mine will be fairly short as well. On the 31st, I attended the operational budget. It was a lot of work on the staff's part to get it down to where it needed to be. I personally like to see it shorter, but I know it's hard to do. Also, I think maybe the American television stations are forgetting things. We have an astronaut in orbit right now. Does not seem to be getting the recognition that he deserves. He's been around the back of the side of the moon and gone farther than anybody had ever gone before. And he seems to forgetting a corner. I'm sorry, Colonel Hanson with the Royal Canadian Air Force. And I'd just like to mention it's really something to see a Canadian get up there as well. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ashford. As with everyone else, attended a great budget meeting. I think it's great to have that out of the way. I'm sure a lot of people feel that way as well. There last Tuesday, and in addition, we had West Parry Sound Hospital hosts the fifth Monday of the month meeting for municipalities and other elected officials. So that went quite well. They had a lot to talk about with the different changes and things that are happening in our community. And just as an end, just to wish everybody a happy Easter. Depending on your tradition, mine is 50 days of celebration. So it's longer than Lent, and it's pretty exciting to get started in that. Easter seat, check it, Jamie. I don't know what they did in Scotland, but check it. I think it's 50 days for you too.
Yeah.
I thought the mayor was
We do.
of Irish ancestry. It's a little bit different, you know. Many years ago, they were at war between the Scottish and the Irish.
I think.
Anyways,
Councillor Keith.
Councillor Keith Knowles from a Scottish background. In any event, fellow councillors, the mayor, staff and the public, my report will not be so short. First of all, I was involved with the ride along with the Meals on Wheels. And that again was an interesting experience because it surely shows you again, people who sometimes are not as fortunate to be as mobile as others and needing and appreciating the efforts of others is certainly comes to your attention. And I also assisted with the ice painting at the Bobby Orr Community Center. And that is just growing each year with as the ice is going out, the number of families and children that are participating in that keeps growing. And I have to say, you always see some really budding artists. Children just seem to love it. And I really can see actually it running for a longer period of time. By that, I mean maybe another hour than what it is now, although the parents might be of a different ilk in that area. I also attended the West Parry Sound Health Center update progress report was on Teams, and it was telling you about Ontario Health. In that report, it certainly stressed the progress regarding governance since 2025, and the plan is by 2029, basically, that all 2,500 people in the area will either have a doctor or a primary care nurse. And this is really important because we know there is a great need here. The health center explained the plans for more efficient use of the ER, especially for minor illnesses where they're looking at developing a strategic plan also that comes into play for 20 years. But if I go back to that ER and doing something a little different, that would be to prioritize, and whether it be by texting, emailing, or telephone, you'd have the ability to contact the ER that way, and then they would come with a list and give you a time of when you could present yourself to the health center. So you would have less time of sitting in the waiting room waiting for your turn. Like the idea of the 20 years, again, 20-year strategic plan, because it certainly shows the growth in our community is continuing to happen, even though we may hear from other entities that there isn't the growth that we think there is. Obviously, the health center sees different. Also, there is new interest in physicians coming to this community, and certainly the interns that are completing their program. Younger people are very interested in coming to our area. The fact that now there's the wellness center there, that is another draw to our community. I also attended the Waterfront Advisory Committee, and basically, as a result of discussion, we prioritized about 3 different areas that we're hoping in the recreation master plan will be taken into account along, and those areas were in reference to the Salt Dock area, Champlain, and linking up the fitness trail. But you'll hear more about it, but I want you to be aware that the advisory committee is a working committee coming up with ideas to try to present to council to try to make things happen. I, of course, attended the special operating budget meeting, which has been discussed, and I too would like to pay my respects to the Tom Lundy, who was the counselor of Archipelago. I had known him for some years, and yes, he was on a variety of boards and certainly full of a lot of energy and life. So I'm very sad to learn of his passing. The funeral was actually today in Bradford. And finally, also give my condolences to the Hobson family, because Greg not only ran the movie theater, and I used to enjoy participating and attending that theater at least once a month, sometimes twice if I was a big spender, but also Greg also was very good at being able to fix locks. And I thought that in the repair and the skill that he had there was really valuable too. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Council staff and public, March 25th, I attended the Horticultural Society AGM, which was held at the Stocky Center. Good turnout, with everyone hoping that spring was coming in with some warm and sunny weather soon. So far, that hasn't happened. And the Forest School made a presentation of their activities at that meeting as well, which it's amazing the number of students that are going to the forestry school and the activities that they put on as well. March 26th and 27th, I was in Toronto for AMO and OSM meetings. On the 26th, I had a meeting with AMO staff to go over some of the plans for the Small Urban Conference, which will be held here in Parry Sound, April 29th to May 1st. And right after that meeting, there was an AMO Committee of the Whole meeting. And then on Friday, the 27th, Small Urban Caucus meeting, and then an AMO board meeting. March 31st, as was mentioned, was the operational budget meeting for council. I want to thank our finance department and all staff for the work that they've put in to this budget. Very well done. April 25th, there will be an event held at the arena to congratulate Mark Idison for winning gold medal in the curling event in the Paralympics. That will start at 11 a.m. I would like to offer condolences to the family of Tom Lundy, Archipelago Councillor, member of our library board, and was also serving on the District Social Services Board at this time for the Township of the Archipelago. Condolences also to the Hobson family on the passing of Greg. And finally, congratulations to Obdam's Flowers for their 50th anniversary. It's quite an achievement, 50 years in business and still going. So that's great. And that's my report. Moved by Councillor Keith and seconded by Councillor McCann that council accept the quote through Canoe Purchasing Group from McLaren Equipment in the amount of $26,493.09, including taxes, for the John Deere TH 6x4D Gator, this being funded from an under budget 2026 capital amount. Mr. Bonanza, do you have anything that you want to add to this?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just a quick synopsis. So, excuse me, we just have one of our gators that is well overdue, 20 years plus, that we use in the cemetery and just come to year's end and looking at for replacement now. It's one of our key components of the cemetery, is that it is light enough to move through the cemetery without damaging it and move material around. So, also like to add off topic, we're kind of a unique, well, I wouldn't say unique, but just to the point of line painting and sweeping. We did winter maintenance this morning and I have crews this afternoon sweeping, so we're trying to work around the weather to get that completed, so.
Good. Yeah, we've had a tough winter and it's not going away.
No,
It needs to.
yeah.
Yeah. Any questions? Counselor Keith?
Actually, it's more of a comment than a question, and I don't know if it really is for Mr. Bonanza or for Mr. Harris. But my comment and question is that I've noticed what seems to be creeping in now at times for some of the resolutions is this font that leaves a lot to be desired, even with glasses on. And I'm wondering if we can go back to the old style of font, because certainly it's so difficult to read. I know personally for me, it's like reading faded pencil marks. And I'm just hoping that we could go back to that, because I also kind of think it's maybe under AODA compliance, because it is an issue. Do you think that's possible, that we could just go back to what we had when it's easier to read?
I can respond to that, Mayor McGarvey. The initial council agenda was very large. I reduced it. I reduced the file size. I don't know what happened with the reduction in the file size in order that it could be received by people. So it was not on purpose that the font that was something that happened in reducing the file size. So normally the font will be the Arial 12 point that it usually is.
So what I don't understand, and I appreciate that. So does that mean by the next agenda, it should be back to normal? Because the previous one also, this is an example that like this small font this is not the first time. It was the same the last time with the small font many times. Is that possible? It can go back, or at least it can be increased where this tiny writing of subject and whatever, TOMRS, it's very tiny.
I'm wondering, because on the iPad, it's fine. Okay. It must have something to do with the computer.
Maybe Cal can fix it then, because I'm using an iPad and I haven't touched it, and it's the same happening again. I don't know if anybody else is having it, but it's hard on the eyeballs.
Oh, okay, no, mine's nothing like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I would just once again say, Mayor McGarvey, that it wasn't an intentional move to a smaller font. I was surprised to see it. And it should be the Arial 12 point with headings that are even larger. And so I will pay attention to that next time. I do believe it had to do with reducing the file size. So I'm surprised. So I will check in with IT if there's something that is causing that, because I've reduced files before many times and I've not seen that. Thank you.
Could I just, a suggestion, if you can zoom in, if you hold on to your control key and roll the ball on your mouse or the wheel, you can zoom in or zoom out. I find I have to do that myself to see.
Okay, can we get back to this piece of equipment? I'm sure staff are going to get on it and get it fixed after so that it's good. I'm sorry it didn't occur to me because mine was fine, but anyway. Anything else, Mr. Bonanza? You have not? No, that's okay. What I wanted to say is that working with Canoe, we're getting good pricing or whatever, which is saving the municipality money. And just so everyone knows, Canoe is a branch through LAS, which is part of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, or AMO. So that's work that's doing for the municipalities to save us money, which is a good thing. So all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Borneman, second by Councillor McCann, that council accepts the quote from Cubex for the McLaren MV6 sidewalk tractor in the amount of $293,594.91, including taxes. This being funded and under budget, the 2026 capital amount. Any discussion? Mr. Bonanza, anything you needed? Okay, all in favor then? That's carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Keith, second by Councillor Borneman. The council received the Cultural Heritage Evaluation Report for 74 James Street, Parry Sound Post Office. Mr. Rand, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I would just start by stressing that the property is not actively for sale. I don't want to start any rumors or anything like that through this report. But it is staff's understanding that housing proposals are being considered by the federal government on this property. So the purpose of this report is really to advise council of the work that has been done. There was a cultural heritage evaluation report, which was prepared by a consultant. And this report would be essential in implementing a bylaw in the future should council designate the property. The advice that we received from another heritage consultant was that it's not really possible to designate a property while it's still owned by the federal government, but we have everything in place should the property transfer hands to private entity in the future. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Anything further? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Keith and second by Councillor Borneman. The council received staff's report regarding the current regime regarding site alteration matters in the town of Parry Sound, and that no further action is required. I have a question. So with looking, was this the one that had to deal with site condition if you have so many properties or whatever, and that staff can actually view what a property's being changed or whatever, and as far as maybe drainage goes or anything like that, because I noticed there was issues with ponding, and I'm drawing that because there is an issue on Tudhope Street with regard to a property that changed the way the drainage is, and it's flooding back onto a number of other properties, which these people are extremely upset. Anything in this that's going to help a situation like that?
To your worship, the this report, as you noted, was looking into the town's current regime around site alteration.
Yeah.
There were two sort of instances in the last 3 years that raised the question of, whether or not there should be a dedicated site alteration bylaw. So we've kind of looked at our existing regime as well as taking into account staff's experience at other municipalities and the realities of site alteration. With respect to, sorry, just to continue that a little bit, the realities of site alteration and enforcement and that sort of thing. With respect to the property you're referring to, so just a couple things on that. So there was a complaint by, I guess, the neighboring property owner about pawning. That's something we are looking into. I don't know what the answer is to that right now. Within this report, we have noted that there are instances where should there have been a site alteration bylaw in place, the onus shifts to the municipality in terms of showing or sort of proving, or that burden of proof of if site alteration is creating an adverse effect on another property owner, or another property rather. But we we have recently received that other request, and staff are actively looking into it. Like I said, I don't have an answer for that right now, but it is something we're looking at. But
Okay,
it is a separate issue from this.
okay, all right. It's just when I was reading it, it was talking about site alteration, that sort of thing, and drainage and potential ponding, that sort of thing. And we do have that situation, and I think that's something that we should be taking a look at, is to make sure that when someone does change a property, that it isn't adversely affecting another property next door because of it. And in this particular case, it's affecting several properties. And they go now, well, basically you could put a boat through the backyard pretty much.
Mhm.
So, and we've got some very upset residents. So I think we need to make sure that we're able to address those issues when someone is changing a property.
If I could just add to
Yeah.
what I was saying earlier, in the case of Tuttle Street, this was I believe the drainage issue, according to the person who's called us, is a result of development on the property. A site alteration bylaw would take into like, is there kind of in place where there aren't other processes that would look at site alteration, for example, like the building permit process or site plan agreement, or where there's like an immediate health and safety issue? In this case, there was a building permit that was submitted, so I think we may be able to investigate that to see that, it was constructed in accordance with the plans and that sort of thing.
All right. I know Chief Thompson wanted to say something, whether this may not have to deal with it tonight, but Chief, then is there another avenue to make sure that this sort of thing doesn't happen again, as we start to infill within the community?
Through you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
I think this is a pretty good example of one of our concerns, in that to try to regulate each situation, we would almost have to have a bureaucratic process that would grind development to a halt. That's what we're very concerned about, is that each one of these situations that have occurred in the past, few years is incredibly unique. And to have a bylaw that's going to affect and control all of them, we're very concerned it would be overly broad and would catch many, many people in a bureaucratic process that is unnecessary. Especially, we may not be able to catch every single situation through our existing rules that we have on record. But we believe that we can catch a number of them without having a site alteration bylaw in place that would be that broad to be able to capture everything. Mr. Rand did mention in that one particular situation, there are other processes that we're looking at utilizing and attempting to help relieve the situation. But I think it's a pretty good example of why we're very cautious with an overall site alteration bylaw.
Okay. All right. The last thing I want is more bureaucracy. So if we've got ways of dealing with situations like this, so that, people aren't encumbered with someone else's issue, and that's okay with me. The last thing I want is more bureaucracy. So If we can deal with it in other ways, then that's good. Councillor Borneman.
I agree with that statement, but the next question that isn't really addressed, I don't think in the report, is what liability do we have? I get it that if there's a drainage issue after the fact, that generally that's a civil matter, but if there's a building permit issued and now there's a drainage issue, is that on us? You know, like what responsibilities do we have here? And my concern all the way along with this is you don't need a site plan to start digging, blasting, cutting trees, etc. As things stand currently, you know, those that comes after the fact, and the damage may or may not already be done.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Jeremy and I are going to tag team this because we both have experience in other municipalities with regards to site alteration. And even my experience, which is directly south of us, is that even when there were site alteration bylaws in place, when there was prosecution tried to occur, when all else failed and you moved to prosecution, there was not an appetite of the courts to deal with these things. The only way to deal with them was when a individual would take actions such as the councillor just mentioned, cut the trees down, blast the rocks away, fill in everything, was to then work with them for a rehabilitation plan. They got exactly what they wanted anyways, because that's what they were going to do, was create a manicured landscape of some sort that was completely flat, that took away the rock relief, things of that nature. And my personal experience is that the utilization of those tools created a great deal of work and did not achieve anything in the end. And I think Jeremy because Jeremy and I have talked at length about this, and he had similar experiences in Muskoka when he was working in those areas, that it was extremely difficult to achieve the goals of the bylaws. And there are tools in place that really are dealing with the worst situations that can occur. And then we do have site plan control. Now, again, that only kicks in in certain developments, when there's commercial development, or when now I think it's units of when there's 10 units or more being created, that we then get that's a little bit more of a hammer for us. But again, that's really dedicated to those larger developments.
Okay. No, thank you. I mean, like I said, I'm not in for more bureaucratic control or anything like that sort of thing. But as long as we have the tools to be able to deal with situations like this, so that, you know, others aren't adversely affected, then that's good. Anything more on this? All in favor then? And that's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Moved by Councillor Ashford and seconded by Councillor Keith, that the Council for the Town of Parry Sound hereby proclaims April 24th, 2026 as Human Values Day in the Town of Parry Sound, in support of the Walk for Values, to raise awareness of human values of truth, right, conduct, peace, love, and nonviolence, and promote individual and collective responsibility for the progress of humanity. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Councillor Boleski and seconded by Councillor Ashford. Whereas Community Living Parry Sound has worked to bring people and their communities together for over 64 years, and whereas Community Living Parry Sound supports people as they develop their capacity to live, learn, work, and participate in all aspects of living in the community, and whereas Community Living Parry Sound helps the community develop its capacity to welcome and support people who have not always had the same opportunities as the rest of us to participate in their community in meaningful, productive ways. And whereas the Council of the Town of Parry Sound wishes to urge its citizens to celebrate the inclusion in our community of people who have developmental disability, and therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and Council declare the month of May Community Living Month in the Town of Parry Sound. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Boleski, second by Councillor Ashford, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Parry Sound supports the February 2026 letter from OPP Detachment Board James Bay East regarding a coordinated provincial bail notification program, and specifically endorses the following. 1. Strengthened investment in Victim Crisis Assistance Ontario, VCAO, agencies recognizing them as crucial frontline partners in community safety and supporting survivors of crime. 2. A standardized province-wide bail notification system designed in partnership with police services, VCAOs, and justice partners to promote timely communication, reduce risk, and improve outcomes for victims. 3. Ongoing collaboration between police and VCAO, including shared training, coordinated response models, and information pathways that improve both public safety and victim care. And that this resolution be forwarded to the Solicitor General Michael Kersner, Associate Solicitor General for Auto Theft and Bail Reform, Z. Hamid, and MPP Graydon Smith. Any discussion? Councillor Keith?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just add that in this community, of course, we have a West Parry Sound OPP Detachment Board made up of a number of members here and First Nation. And certainly we care about the safety of victims and having the not only the increased safety for victims, but have better communication and a consistency throughout the province. So I think this is really important that we support that, because we know there is a need to continue with partnerships and have everything flow a lot smoother than I would say things are happening here. I would also suggest that maybe for forwarding this resolution on, I was thinking maybe we should also add the other local municipalities, this resolution sent to the other local municipalities and in addition, emo, just so that we are having everybody included for the necessity, because I think we all want a safe community, and doesn't matter where we're in this area, or we're in Kenora, or we're in Etobicoke.
Okay, no, that sounds good. We can do that. All those in favor of adding those names, just show of hands. Perfect, thank you, that's carried. Any further discussion on this? All in favor then? And that's carried. Moved by Councillor Boleski and seconded by Councillor Ashford that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Parry Sound hereby proclaims the April 6th to the 10th, 2026 as Canadian Public Health Week. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. You should have just stayed there. Moved by Councillor Ashford, second by Councillor Boleski. That bylaw number 2026-7587 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2004-4653, the zoning bylaw as amended for Lot 4, east side of Joseph Street, Plan 119, formerly the Township McDougall, now in the Town of Parry Sound, be considered as read a first time. All in favor? It's carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings? And that's carried. Moved by Councillor Ashford and seconded by Councillor Boleski that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time passed, signed, and sealed. Mr. Rand, do you want anything to add to this?
I don't have too much to add. I would note that the zoning amendment essentially was permitted or was proposed rather to permit limited commercial uses on the lands with the official plan designation being a highway commercial. This zoning amendment sort of marries the existing zoning, which is residential, with some of the limited uses that are permitted within the highway commercial. These uses are meant to be low impact, low traffic that can be accommodated within the existing structure or should the property be redeveloped in the future. I guess with staff's recommendation, the application conforms with the policies of the official plan and meets the general intent of the zoning bylaw. So here for any questions if should you have any. Thank you.
Councillor McCann?
Thank you, Mr. Rand. I'm just kind of curious, being on Joseph Street, that's basically a commercial artery. Would zoning not have already been in place for the desires of the property owner, or was the fact that it was a residential building have something to do with that? And or were they looking for a combined business or commercial and residential zoning permission?
Through your worship to Councillor McCann, I think both of what you're saying was taken into consideration at the time of the zoning bylaw. In that the existing uses were taken into account. There is a dwelling on the subject property. And the property is fairly small. So permitting like a shopping center wouldn't necessarily be appropriate. So what the existing zoning does is it requires proposals to go to council for review prior to the zoning change. So it kind of meets both of those objectives.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Ashford?
I just want to give a quick comment that it does seem to be wonderful for the community. And it's too bad that Ms. Wallace left, but I just think it's exciting and a little sad that she's retiring, and that's an amazing business and a business leader in our community to see that changing. So hopefully as she kind of, being a great business leader, wants to make sure that that particular investment is got the best highest use in our community. So it's just wonderful to her to kind of do that too as part of her retirement.
Anything else? No? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Keith and seconded by Councillor Ashford, that bylaw number 2026-7588 being a bylaw to appoint Zach Emberson as municipal law enforcement officer be considered as read a first time. All in favor? That's carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings? Carried. Moved by Councillor Keith, seconded by Councillor Ashford, that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time, passed, signed, and sealed. Any discussion other than inviting Zach up to the table so that people can see who Zach is? Councillor Keith?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is along that line, so I'm glad he's up at the table. But I'm just going to say, I hope that you really enjoy working in this area and you stay here a long time so we all get so familiar with you. You're like an institution and knowledgeable at the same time. Thank you.
Welcome to the team. Anything further? All in favor? That's carried. Zach, anything you want to say? Now that you're official?
Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to extend my sincere thank you for everyone welcoming here. It feels like a very close family, and I'm really looking forward to developing the bylaw program. My experience, I come from, we'll call it the South, 2 hours south of town of Georgina in York Region. There I spent 10 years, started as a regular municipal law enforcement officer, mostly working on the road. And from there, I progressed to property standards, zoning enforcement, and then supervisor of their bylaw enforcement program. Georgina, if you don't know it, it's very similar, I find, to the town of Parry Sound here. It has the same influx from visitors from Toronto. We're 1 hour north along 404. So through the summertime, we would see our population was 50,000 people. Through the summertime, it would probably double every weekend. So I'm looking forward to bringing that experience of busy shoreline and like parking enforcement, as well as accompanying like zoning and licensing issues that come up. But I also look forward to working with members of council, Mr. Mayor, and yeah, my door is always open. You just have to get through the past the chief first in the fire hall where I am. But yeah, I just want to again say thank you very much. And just a small note, it was very interesting. The reason I did move up here, I wanted to, I'm raising a young family and I love the outdoors. This is a place that's always been close to my heart. As a young child, I had a cottage in the archipelago. And I want my family to experience the beauty up here. And again, get outside, get away from those screens, because I know how important that is, as we've seen here today. So I'm I'm here to stay. So I look forward to working with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moved by Counselor Ashford, second by Counselor Keith, that bylaw number 2026-7589 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a transfer payment agreement with His Majesty the King and Right of Ontario as represented by the Minister of Health to operate the Community Paramedicine Long-Term Care Program be considered as read a first time. All in favor? That's carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings? That's carried. Moved by Counselor Ashford, seconded by Counselor Keith, that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time, passed, signed, and sealed. Any questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. This is a very good program, and thank you to the ministry for the funding. Moved by Counselor Ashford, seconded by Counselor Keith, that bylaw number 2026-7590 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council be considered as read a first time. All in favor? Carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings? That's carried. Moved by Counselor Ashford, seconded by Counselor Keith, that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time, passed, signed, and sealed. All in favor? And that's carried. Prior to adjourning, I'd like to offer the following information to the public regarding the next council meeting. Next meeting of council for the town of Parry Sound is scheduled for Tuesday, April the 21st, 2026 at 7 p.m. The meeting will be held at the town of Parry Sound Council Chambers at 52 Seguin Street, entrance via Gibson Street, and be live streamed and recorded. All regular council meetings are held at 7 p.m. on the first and third Tuesday of each month, except January and August, where only one regular meeting is scheduled. Council meeting schedule, notices of special council meetings, complete agendas and minutes, and instructions on accessing the live streamed and recorded council meetings are all posted on the town's website. Go to www.parrysound.ca, use the search bar. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.